Back in the captain's chair. Day 93 of the captain's log. The captain's log. The captain's log.
I'm Kate McHugh, the first American woman to ever captain a mega cruise ship.
With 3.6 million TikTok followers, you may have seen her on your feed. And she lives right here in Las Vegas. Look up Wanderlust in the dictionary and you'll find a photo of Kate McHugh.
Hi, Ken. Hi, Barbie.
It seems like an unlikely pairing, but this Las Vegas local was born to be at sea.
I know I was born to be at sea. And it's funny because if you asked me what other career I would have had, if being a professional mermaid is one of those options, then that would have been the backup. This was my very first mermaid encounter. I was a pretty happy kid. When we did travel, I had to keep a travel log.
So how did this little mermaid get her sea legs? It all started when Kate was just 12 years old.
My very first cruise ship that I ever went on, that's when I was 12.
It was a 4-day cruise to the Bahamas.
Look at how happy I was.
And when it was time to go home,
I said to my dad, I know what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be the cruise director. And my dad said, well, you can do anything you want in the world, including drive the thing. And that's where the seed was planted.
When Kate did grow up, she went to the California Maritime Academy.
This was one of the first days at school when my parents dropped me off, California Maritime Academy. I was one of 8 women in my graduating class. You can see that here.
After graduating in 2000, she applied to every cruise line. It took 18 months, but she finally got her foot in the door at Disney Cruises, getting hired as a 3rd officer, an entry-level position to the bridge. After 2 years, she got hired by Royal Caribbean as a 2nd officer. Over the next 13 years, she worked her way up through the ranks, and in 2015, she was promoted to captain. The captain is responsible for everything and everyone on the ship. Her schedule is 3 months on and 3 months off.
Because I am responsible for 5,303 lives on board the ship when I'm on, and safety is the #1 priority.
When in port, Kate is responsible for the docking and undocking of the ship.
No day is going to be the same as the day before. You're in a port one day, you're at sea the next day. Every day the weather's different, the people around you are different, the circumstances are different, and that's what I love.
When she was promoted to captain, the most frequent question she got was, what were the horror stories of being a woman in the field? The truth was, there weren't any.
The hardest part of making it to captain was the time. It took 19 years. Because I grew up in this diverse environment, me being a female was never a thing. I was either Kate the 1st officer, Kate the staff captain, because we celebrate those differences. We don't pick on them. If we picked on them, we would never get anything done.
And that is one of Kate's favorite things about her job, the diversity.
Basically have every race, religion, cultural background, sexual orientation, gender represented under one roof. And I don't know anywhere else in the world that you can find basically the world working, playing, living together. And getting along.
We are going to call this Captain's Log Season 2, Episode 1, because I did a poll and most...
Kate uses her social media platforms to show behind the scenes of what working on a cruise ship is really like. She even does a daily captain's log documenting her day-to-day.
Staff captain notified the Coast Guard of the situation, and we were given the go-ahead to bring the 2 women and 2 men on board.
Some of the most popular of her videos are the ones where her ship has assisted in rescues.
This particular vessel had about 200 people on it, so the Italian Coast Guard asked if the ship could act as basically a barrier. One of the things that I love about rescues at sea is we aren't there to take sides. Our mission is to provide safe passage. As long as it doesn't put the ship, our guests, and our crew at risk, we will assist, period.
And we resumed our voyage without any impacts on our itinerary.
She also shares personal moments with her crew.
This is the most gratifying part of this job, is watching people succeed every single day and move up through the ranks. And you can see how much it means to them.
And if you've seen Kate on your feed, you've probably also seen
Hey, buddy.
her travel companion, Bug.
Hello. All right, let's show it. Yeah. Bug travels with me at all times. Huh, yes you do.
This hairless cat might just be the most well-traveled pet in the world. Kate's cabin on the ship is connected to the bridge, so during the day, Bug has full access to roam between Kate's living space, her office, and the bridge.
Next life I want to be, Bug.
We were going to need to perform a medical evacuation ashore.
But there's so much more to why Captain Kate McHugh posts. It's
a platform for women in maritime, because when I joined as captain, 2% of the industry was women.
On her cruise line, it was 4%. Today, that number is over 34%.
And that's because we've been conscious about what we put out. And I'm a firm believer in the motto, if you can see it, you can be it, because representation matters. It's also garnered an interest in young people in an industry that they had no idea was available.
Chief officer, first officer, our apprentice officer, second officer.
The opportunities are there in everything from IT to cruise ship captains. And so putting it out there makes it a little bit more visible, obviously, but also accessible to the masses.
Even though Kate feels the most home at sea, there is just something about coming back to the desert.
First and foremost, coming home to Vegas is coming home to family. It's the longest that I've ever lived anywhere in my life, and so it definitely has that home feel.
And like anything, life is about balance.
But people will ask about that work-life balance, and I think that's a really fun balance to have when you go to sea for work and then you come home to the desert, because you find things here that obviously you won't find out at sea.
There are lots of labels you can use to describe Kate McHugh. She's a wife, a daughter, a cat mom, a traveler, a mermaid, but one of her favorites is simply, she's a captain.
For me, my goal was to be the first American woman to do this position. I didn't think anybody else would care, and now I want everything to be just, she's a captain. I just want to be a captain. And my hope is that the women that are coming up through the ranks do it their way, and once they get into the position, they will be known as amazing leaders rather than all of the different labels that go with it. I see this on social media. Someone will write, I want to follow in your footsteps. And my response to that is, I don't want you to follow in my footsteps, because if you're trying to emulate me, you're not being your authentic self.
So what to do if not to follow in her footsteps? Some advice from Kate is to make your own path.
Say, do something every day that scares you, because putting yourself outside of your comfort level, you're going to figure out so much about yourself.
In other words,
figure out who you are and then bring it to everything that you do. Because when you can bring your authentic self to a position, you bring something that nobody else can bring. And that's the secret to success.